Hey guys, it's Bazz, and I gotta say, I'm a little nervous right now. I'm waiting for an interview to run a hip-hop Twitter account. I've heard there's a lot of work to run, so I just hope I get the job.
Bazz Reviews. The boss will see you now.
Oh, that's me. Luke, you run a hip-hop Twitter account?
Bazz, you wanted to be on a hip-hop Twitter account?
Did you just...
I know, Bazz, I know. Sometimes we all have to do deplorable shit to pay the bills. You know, sometimes we don't really want to go there, but we just have to.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
Alright, cool. So let's get into it. I gotta ask you a few questions before we start. This should be pretty quick. Number one, are you aware that your username has a striking resemblance to the popular porn site Brazzers?
Yes.
Alright, are you the guy who gave Whole Lotta Red a 1.5 out of 10?
Does the Pope wear a beanie?
Follow-up question, how do you sleep at night?
Does this answer your question?
Very well. So, Mr. Reviews, describe yourself in a few words.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm dedicated, determined, detail-oriented, and an avid J. Cole hater. I don't know what I said, but I think it's safe to say I didn't get the job.
The internet is arguably one of mankind's most important inventions. Used daily by almost 60% of the world's population, it serves as a tool for almost everything under the sun. From a simple search on Google to your grandma posting an endless chain of Minion memes on Facebook, or some dude trying to convince me why Eminem is a better rapper than Denzel Curry. True story, by the way. Yeah, despite me being a content creator in the field, I'm not a fan of the current state that internet music discussion is in. To clarify, I would define music discussion as one person or a group breaking down a song, an album, a band, or an artist much deeper than the surface level of this is good or this is bad. Oftentimes, these vehicles used to communicate one's thoughts about music are ravaged by these self-proclaimed music experts. From chat forums like Discord, music review sites like Rate Your Music, even on a broader platform like YouTube, I've noticed quite a bit of gatekeeping against less experienced listeners with their myopic what I say goes attitude towards music discussion. Personally, I feel as if that invalidates a lot of the individual experiences a person can have with the medium as a whole, and out of all the things that foster this kind of discussion, I want to single out three in particular that come off as the worst offenders: Topsters, tier lists, and Twitter. And you might be asking, Bazz, what in the hell is a Topster? It's nothing fancy really, just collages that show off a person's favorite albums. It's an idea that sounds pretty good on paper, but ends up being mediocre to below average in practice. After jumping from various corners of the music social media landscape, you can really see how obnoxious fans are in the way they use them or talk about them. Basically, it becomes an excuse to show off how one's music taste is so much more highbrow than another person's. Not only that, but you'll usually end up seeing a lot of the same records on Topster after Topster after Topster, lowering the overall efficacy of displaying one's favorite albums as a whole. Don't get me wrong, I'm always happy when people I know share the love of the same albums, but I'd much rather know why you like it than casually peeking at a collage of records on a subreddit or a Discord server. Although seeing albums ranked in a certain way and discussing each person's picks will occasionally lead to an interesting debate, the general oversaturation of Topsters makes me appreciate them less and less whenever they get posted. And since I don't think that interview got us off on the right foot, I've been civil and allowed Luke to come on to talk about why he likes Topsters. So, Luke, if you want to do your thing now, just come on. Let's get over with.
Yeah, unlike Bazz over here, I think Topsters are actually pretty good. Yes, while I would prefer to have a more in-depth conversation with someone as to why they would consider certain albums their favorite, I think that Topsters allow an outsider to quickly and efficiently learn and understand someone's taste in music. I mean, think about it. Most of the time when you're looking at a random person's Topster, you're not in the position to have a drawn-out discussion about why their Topster is the way it is. Instead, you're seeing it over the internet for just a couple seconds, whether that's on Instagram, Twitter, Discord, etc. Sure, you could shoot that person a DM asking them to further explain their Topster, but Jesus Christ, human interaction scares me! In addition, while most people use their Topsters to list off their top 50 favorite albums of all time or something in that nature, they can be used and are used in many different ways. One of my favorite ways I've seen people use Topsters is what I like to dub the personality chart. Instead of listing off their favorite albums, they instead put a handful of albums that they think best explain their taste in music or personality. For example, if I were to make a personality chart, I would probably include 148 by C418 and In Rainbows by Radiohead. That way I can show I have some unique taste of my own, but at the end of the day, I'm just as insufferable as every other online music fanatic. So anyways, to conclude, fuck you, Bazz. I'm right about Topsters, you absolute idiot.
Whoa, Luke. First of all, this is my video. How dare you say something like that to me? And secondly, I want this job. I let you come on, yes, but I thought we were keeping this civil. Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. Back to me.
When a creator is in a pinch and needs to whip up something quick, it would be a no-brainer to analyze their own Topster or other people's Topsters. I also see this quick, clickbaity content in the form of tier list videos too. Originally used as a way to rank characters in competitive esports games like Smash Bros. And Street Fighter, they have since taken on a life of their own in the music community. I will argue that, out of the three, it's the least of the evils. The ones that do become videos will at least be accompanied by some sort of commentary. Other than that, I'm not really sold on their overall purpose. Let's say I were to do a Kanye tier list. Me, along with most of his fans, could probably agree on which records are at the top and which are at the bottom. However, I feel like no two Kanye fans could agree on which songs were their favorite, or which would end up in which tier. You might get some who'd say Power, a couple who'd argue it's Father Stretch My Hands, maybe some Jesus Walks fans here and there, but then there's that one fucking lunatic that'll say Send It Up, and I immediately add them to that list of people I can't trust. My point is, using tier lists to group albums and other pieces of music feels too closed-ended. It goes back to what I talked about in the beginning. Albums are being represented as either good or bad depending on what letter tier they end up in. That, to me, is hardly a fair representation of an overall body of work an artist has made. But we haven't even gotten into the best way to represent an overall body of work by an artist. Our third, final, and most toxic place for music discussion. Twitter. And not just Twitter in general, hip-hop Twitter. Oh, glory, what a place it is. It is nearly impossible to get any form of constructive debate out of some of these users. You will face such umbrage if you don't agree with beaming takes like J. Cole is the greatest lyricist of the 21st century or Nicki Minaj is better than Ms. Lauryn Hill. Strike one. It gets even more annoying when people make the most random comparisons that don't even work. I was hosting an Instagram livestream once, and someone asked me if I thought Wu-Tang Clan or Death Grips was a better hip-hop group. They're two completely different things. That's like asking me if I'd rather eat a ribeye steak from the Capitol Grill or a box of McFeely ProMaster Plus screws. Well, listen, I love me some aluminum and zinc from time to time, but that's far from the point here. Strike two. And that's not even touching on all the hip-hop Twitter isms that have become popular, including, but not limited to, if I had said those all myself, I would have burst into flames. Strike three. So in the end, hip-hop Twitter leaves hundreds of people unwilling to say any of their own opinions for fear of reprisal. Isn't that like the complete antithesis of discussing art as a whole? It really frustrates me to look at how many individuals have bought into this system and apply it to any place they talk about music. Twitter is an innate place to share an opinion off the cuff without much research, experience, or context being put into what you post. That's a problem if and when you're not inviting a subsequent conversation or discussion. Reading tweets with comment sections that end up really one-directional are some of the worst, but you see them happen way too often. That could all but be eliminated if you rephrase something as common as X artist is better than Y artist with a simple I think statement. I think that X, Y, or Z artists are great. What do you think about them? That sounds like something I'd actually respond to. Now, this brings me back to the guiding question I posed at the beginning of the video. Are Topsters, tier lists, and Twitter good for music discussion? After going into each, I'm still on the no side of things. With the right crowd, they can obviously be great. However, when you put everyone up against each other in a no-holds-barred situation, all hell breaks loose. From what I've experienced, you can find two types of people that engage in music discussion. You have those that care way too much about their own musical opinions and are far less interested in hearing what the other person has to say. On the other hand, you have those who are too afraid to express their own opinions or feel the need to quantify certain music relative to other types. I think all of these tropes are a result of some weird, lingering sense of tribalism ingrained in us, either genetically, formatively, or both. No one ever really wins in this kind of situation, especially when people just liberally throw around buzzword responses. It's incredibly rare that every experience you've had with music will be shared by someone else, and each of the three tools feel very limited in describing your feelings on something as complex as music. If someone says something I don't agree with about music I like, I want to understand their perspective instead of shutting out their opinions because I don't believe them. That's how we learn more about each other, and how we go further in interpreting art as a whole. Like I said before, the internet is something that can be used for anything and everything you can possibly think of. I hope that going forward, everyone, from the most hardcore listeners to the newest, can harness its power to genuinely discuss music instead of lazily going through the motions in the future.
Man, I never should have applied for this damn position anyways. It's literally put me in a bigger hole than I was when I started this thing. And after all that, I still can't figure out why I didn't get the job. Unless... it's because I said I was an avid J. Cole hater, wasn't it?